We got the bottles display here. Okay. Turn that off real quick. Alright, so another supper time here, another meal. Let's go in with 2 eggs. I usually crack it on the counter, but I'm cracking it against the bowl today and I'm not very successful. There we go. So I'm gonna do 2 of these schnapperoonies. Bam. A little bit of egg whites for extra protein, even though I eat a ton of protein per day, which I don't necessarily plan to eat that much protein per se, but since I'm trying to lose weight and I'm on less calories, I find having a little bit extra protein just keeps me a little bit more full, and it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of extra protein. What's going on back here? Doesn't hurt to have a little extra protein, and prevents muscle loss. It's not necessarily to make more gains, or not even to necessarily prevent a ton of muscle loss, but it's just keeps me full and allows me to get leaner, which is my main goal on this, I guess, fat loss phase plus maintenance. So I'm adding a bit of this hot sauce to the mixture. A little bit of mustard, some mustardo, and I didn't actually get the amount of egg whites that I wanted, so I'm going to go in with a little bit more here. Different package, smaller tub of egg whites, so I gotta get another like 60-ish grams in there. Perfect. And then with the eggs, I'm going to have some potatoes that I meal prepped, and then of course, since I love my ground beef, I gotta go in with another serving of ground beef. And then of course, like usual, I'll screenshot the meals for you guys so you can see the measurements and all the different meals for the day. So I'm gonna cook up the eggs, microwave this stuff, and then I'll be ready to go. All right guys, so let's make sure the camera's turned on. Alright, we good. So back from the gym. Gonna chow this down, so saying grace there again, mentally. So I got a nice big meal here. Like I was saying before guys, you'll see from my screenshot for my macros, I eat quite a bit of protein. Now that's not necessarily, I don't want to say planned per se, like I definitely want to eat enough protein in the day, but I don't necessarily need to eat a ton of protein. The reason that it's a little bit higher some days is because that's just kind of how it goes. Like I eat similar kind of foods, so if I just have another meal with like ground beef, or if I want to increase the volume of my food and I eat eggs and I add some egg whites to just make more food, well, that's just a bunch of protein. So it kind of just works out that way in a sense. And like I said, just kind of the meal plan that I'm on. It's like ground beef, potatoes, another meal with ground beef and potatoes, eggs and potatoes with egg whites, and then like a protein bar, like a homemade protein bar, which I just made a video on that, so you guys should check that out if you haven't seen it. So a lot of proteiny things, and really the main purpose of that is not so much that I believe that like an extra high protein diet builds more muscle or anything like that, but what I actually think is that protein is really filling. It's definitely very satiating, and you need enough fats with it too. So that's why I try to incorporate some healthy fats, hence like the egg yolk, and I'm going to start to have a little bit of extra almond butter in the morning with my protein bar, because I think I'm going to switch up my meal timing a little bit, and instead of having like a meal in the morning, then a snack, then the next meal and dinner, I think I'm going to swap my snack and have my snack in the morning, so I'm eating a little bit less in the morning, because I drink so much coffee and water anyways, so it's kind of like I don't really need a ton of food in my system. And if I do the protein bar to get a little bit of protein, and I make it with almond butter and oats, and then I dip the protein bar in a little bit of extra almond butter for a little more fats. That'll satiate me a little bit more. So I think that's the plan that I'm gonna go for. Funny thing enough is that like the whole thing about keeping me full is so that I can, 1, lose weight, and then 2, keep it off. Now the funny thing about like this is like it needs to become a lifestyle if you want to get lean and stay lean, and that's what I want to do. So that's kind of why I eat like this. If you never are satisfied enough and never disciplined enough, especially because you can be hungry and just discipline your way through it, but then it's like you might get lean, but then can you maintain being lean? And also, like, I'm not being like shredded year round. It's just like a nice level of leanness, like nothing too crazy. But the thing that you guys need to understand is if you never get to a level of leanness, then there's nothing to talk about. So if a high protein diet is what can get you to being lean versus somebody saying, oh, go like moderate protein, but eating moderate protein, you can never get lean, then it's not so much like maybe a moderate protein diet would be more effective than a higher protein diet per se, because if you can never get lean on the moderate protein diet, then you just have to go with the high protein diet, if that makes sense. Like say somebody got lean with the moderate protein diet and somebody got lean with the high protein diet, but for some reason you needed that high protein diet to keep you full, to get you lean. If you never get lean in the first place, you don't even get to know if the moderate protein diet was better for you than the higher protein diet, because you never actually got lean with the moderate protein diet. So if you don't get to the endpoint that you're looking for, there's nothing to really talk about. So you got to find something that works for you. I find that this works pretty well for me. So that's what I do. So the higher protein, get me full, help me to actually reach my goals and obtain them, and then maintain them. Or I guess reach my goals, which my goals, one is to get lean, and then my other goal is to stay lean. So I guess really not necessarily maintaining my goals, but reaching my goals, because one of my goals is to maintain leanness. So yeah. By the way, when you guys see when you see that protein bar, it's me going into MyFitnessPal, creating a recipe, labeling it protein bar. So if you guys haven't done that before, you can do that when you're making a recipe, when you make a bulk item that you created, like if you created like protein bars, protein muffins, like whatever kind of thing. Or if you make some sort of like a big bulk pasta with chicken and sauce or something like that, then you divvy up the portions or whatever, like anything. So you just create the recipe, add all the different ingredients, create the serving size, and it spits out all the macronutrients, which is just dividing everything by the number of portion size to give you all the breakdown of calories and macronutrients. So I made my protein bar. They're setting to the freezer right now. They're pretty sticky if you just leave them in the fridge. I left them overnight in the fridge, and they're still pretty sticky. So I think with the natural protein bars, there's less chemicals to keep that consistency. And I also think that because I didn't coat it in chocolate, and obviously when you coat it in chocolate and the chocolate dries, it gives you like a nice hard outer shell. So I don't have that. So freezing it, I think, is the way to go. And I remember watching a Greg Doucette video, and he freezes his protein bars. So I'm just gonna wrap it in parchment paper for each protein bar, and that's just gonna be like the wrapper for the protein bar. And if you just pull it out of the freezer and let it thaw for like a minute or two, by the time you're ready to eat it, it should be like the perfect consistency and not super sticky. And then you'll have the parchment paper for the wrapping paper anyways. So that's the plan. So they're already divvied out in terms of like the portion size, because I had one today and it was just a little bit too sticky. Like the texture's way off. It's like, it just like leaves off too much like stickiness on your fingers. So I can't eat it like that. It's got to be frozen. So I'm going to do that later tonight. And I think I'm going to switch to having that with a little bit of almond butter in the morning. I think that sounds pretty good. Another thing, if you guys notice when I screenshot my meals, you'll see almond milk with protein powder. What I actually do is, I've mentioned this before on my channel, but if you're looking for a really delicious coffee creamer, I remember one day I experimented and I threw a little bit of protein powder in my coffee because I'm like, first of all, you need a protein powder that tastes really good, which I found. So once you find a protein powder that tastes good, I'm like, well, if I make a shake, the shakes are delicious. So what if I could get this flavor in my coffee? That'd be like a delicious coffee creamer, right? And so I added the protein powder into my coffee, and when I went to mix it, it wouldn't mix properly. And I was like, ah, shoot, this idea seemed like a smart one, but all of a sudden, you know, it doesn't work. And then I was like, I think months later, I was just like, you know what? If I made it as a shake and then I poured the liquid into the coffee, would that work? And it did. So big eureka moment there, guys. So I chart a cup of almond milk, but it's not actually like a cup of almond milk. I do like 150 mils because I do 2 coffees in the morning, like a big Yeti and then another like Costco kind of mug, because it just tightens better, it just locks better. So because I throw that into my lunch bag, and a Yeti you can't throw into your lunch bag, otherwise if it tips over it just spills everywhere. So I have that other mug. So with the 2 coffees, 150 mils of almond milk is enough for me to throw a little bit in the one mug and then more in the Yeti mug to cool it down quicker, because I'm having the Yeti mug right away in my car and then I'm having the other thermos later, so I don't want as much of the almond milk to cool it down, because by the time I have it, it's already going to cool down a little bit more. So then I don't really want to have cold coffee, so I don't need to add as much of the protein powder mixture to the other mug. So I find that 150 mils works pretty well for me. You can experiment and just try to figure out what works for you guys. And really, like, it just depends how sweet you want your coffee. You just add more protein powder, because that's obviously going to make a stronger flavor of the protein powder, and it's just going to be sweeter. So I was only doing like a quarter, or not a quarter, like a half scoop. And now I'm like close to a scoop of protein. And obviously it's just more protein. Again, that's why my diet's so high in protein. Like, I'm not necessarily shooting to have a scoop of protein in the morning, but I know if I make that protein shake and then I pour that into my coffee, it's a really delicious coffee creamer, because I like sweeter coffee. And then instead of adding a bunch of cream to my coffee and sugars and having just a bunch of unnecessary, like unhealthy fats and just sugar and carbs, I can just use the protein powder. So again, it's just protein. I wasn't necessarily shooting for like a super high protein diet, but this hack that I figured out happens to up my protein in the day, right? So that's what I do, guys. So just so you know, so I pour that 3/4 cup or whatever almond milk, about a scoop of protein, just a little bit less. Again, you can add as much as you want. I shake it up, get it to mix, and then you pour it into your coffee. And then when you mix it into your coffee, it mixes perfectly. So if you haven't tried that, I highly suggest trying that. It's going to change your life completely, especially if you love coffee, because it just makes basically like a healthy coffee creamer. And as long as you get a protein powder that tastes good, it's going to be delicious. And again, you're just adding extra protein to your diet. It's just going to fill you up. It's not bad for you. It's just like a hack that I found out, and I've been doing it for a while, and I've been seeing a couple of people on YouTube recently doing it, and I'm like, I kind of want to low-key say that I started this, but I know I didn't start it because I think I learned it from somebody. But anyways, you get the idea. I feel like I was like doing it before a bunch of people did it, but then again, I probably just didn't catch other people doing it. I'm not trying to say that I started it, but I low-key want to kind of feel like I did, at least in my heart. So yeah, that's what that is when you see that on my MyFitnessPal, guys. So a little hack there for you. So yeah, pretty excited about the protein bars. I probably will make it again. Made about 16 bars, which should last me about 2 weeks. I'll probably have it Monday to Friday for breakfast and then change it up during the weekend just to not get bored of it. And especially, you know, maybe on the weekend if I'm going out somewhere and I just want a quick snack, I can always take it, obviously. It's nice and convenient, and it's good for you because it's made out of whole ingredients. And again, it's just like a nice boost in your protein. Keeps you full, keeps you from wanting to eat out and just eating junk food. Not that I don't have a cheat meal, because I do tend to have a cheat meal once a week, which is, I think, well deserved and much needed. More so probably mentally than physically, but definitely like a little bit physically as well. But anyways, that's enough yapping for this video. I'm gonna enjoy the rest of this meal. It's getting cold, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.